We're at a very interesting time in our history and in our culture regarding the depictions of people with disabilities in the media. And this would include television, this would include movies, this would include audio and radio. We're seeing more and more efforts like the one that you're doing, where it's not someone else speaking on behalf of the person with the disability. You don't have the teachers or the preachers or the social workers sort of pushing the agenda. But more and more there are opportunities, whether it's via the internet, YouTube, Facebook, for people to blog, to put their own stories out there. And so I think what's happening now is we're seeing a change in the types of stories that are being told. It used to be the disabled person on the outside of society. It was always monochrome in terms of them either being tragic or heroic. Anybody who's lived a little while knows that life is more complex than that. It's more complicated than that. There's a lot more color in the spectrum. But sadly, up until probably the last 10, 15 years, with very rare occasions, we didn't get a chance to see that. I think with more disabled people being creative behind the scenes, whether it's writing, producing, directing, acting, whatever those efforts might be in terms of telling those stories, the stories that we're hearing, the stories that are coming out now, and this is something relatively new in the last 5 years or so, really. I've seen that kind of catapult forward. We're seeing more complexity in those stories, more depth in those stories, more authenticity in those stories. And as a result, they've become less lazy and they've become more interesting because the nuances are all there in ways that we really haven't seen before. There are numerous driving forces behind that happening, I think, right now at our point in time in the culture. Part of it is technology. You can't deny it. 5, 6 years ago, there was no YouTube. You couldn't just take a video on your phone and put it up there for anybody to see. You can do that now. If you do it with some creativity, with some panache, with some sort of a little different spin, right, coming at it from left field or from right field, you can get some traction. You can get some attention. People are no longer limited to the, let's say, television networks, NBC, CBS, ABC, PBS. They can produce a web short, a web series that's 10, 15-minute episodes on their own. Boom, it goes on there, they get a following, they can get funding to actually do the real thing, whether it's a short film or whether it's a feature length. So people now, the blockades have come down. The gatekeepers no longer have the same types of power. If you've got ways to put something creative together because of things like Facebook, because of ways for people to connect and come together that can push that material forward, give people an opportunity to see it, and more we know that people are hungry for that. They're tired of the same old tragic, heroic stories. They want to see more complexity. They want to see themselves represented. And I think we've got more and more opportunities not only to create it and produce it and put it out there, but we're seeing more and more people writing for themselves, directing for themselves, producing for themselves. They're not any more relegated to saying, you do this for me, or trying to put forth that effort. No, they're taking it I think they're taking the responsibility for themselves and creating it themselves, and that's making all the difference.